Hi, and welcome back to the Wild West Tennis Podast, brought to you by QualityShot Tennis. I'm Brad Falkner, your host. Tonight I'm with Rodrigo Camacho, who's a sports journalist based in Guadalajara. Wow, this is a real thrill. I got to meet this man in the Los Cabos tennis tournament in Cabos. Now we're in your home city of Guadalajara. What do you think? You've been here for the WTA Year Championships and the 250, the 1000. What is your general impression of the venue and the events?
It's been crazy. It's been crazy because the other day I was talking to a friend about what has been happening here in Guadalajara with all the tennis. And we just remember that in 1 year, like in the period of 1 year, we've had the WTA finals, the WTA 250, and now we have the WTA 1000. So it's been kind of crazy. I think it has adapted well, talking about the environment, talking about the complex and all the courts and everything, because we have to remember that this complex was built to host the Pan Americans, I think
Pan American Games.
The Pan American Games back in 2011.
Right.
So it has aged very well, I would say, and I think the effort that all the people has been made to make this possible has been great. So yeah, it's been cool.
It's a state-of-the-art facility. You can see behind us are some of the practice courts.
Yes.
And in front of us is the stadium. And apologize if you just heard the MC, Andrew Krasny. That's a shout out for you, Andrew. And he's an MC at a lot of the WTA 1000s.
Yep.
So what we can see is an incredible facility that I think rivals any I've seen in the United States for a 1000 level. In your experience here covering the 250, the Year Championships, have you ever seen a field that wasn't spectacular? I mean, are you spoiled?
Yeah, of course. Well, no, like talking about the field, like in the players.
Yeah, the player field.
And all the stuff. Well, back in the days, like in the first year that Abierto Zapopan was hosted, because that was the first name for the tournament that was played here in this complex. So back in the day, yeah, that maybe not so much like a lot of good players or something like were coming, so we had to just wait for the right players to come. So
yeah.
it's been a process for us, like fans, like journalists, like basically everything involved or everybody involved here in these tournaments. It's been a process for us.
And I think you may have mentioned before when we were chatting, was it 2018 or 17 when the 250 first arrived?
2019.
2019.
It's 19, yes.
And if you think about it, Rodrigo, in that short time, to start with a 250, to get a year-end championship and a 1000, that doesn't happen.
I know.
And in many places, in many cities, in many countries, you've been spoiled.
Yes. Basically, all the people here has been spoiled. I think that's only thanks to the efforts of Gustavo Santoscoy, who is the tournament director for this, and who was also the tournament director for the Abierto Zapopan, for the year-end finals, and for the 250. We know that that's not possible if it wasn't for all the other ingredients that were happening in these last 3 years, let's say. So yeah, it's been a ride for everyone involved.
Or you could say Gustavo has the Midas touch. Either way, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The fans are here, the media's here, we're here, the players are here. So I think he does deserve a lot of credit because, as you know,
he does.
Any tournament director wears several hats and promoting an event and taking care of the media. So he clearly has had a lot of influence and deserves a lot of credit for the success. Moving on from that, you are really fortunate that you're in maybe a golden era or the beginning of a golden era with tennis in Mexico. And what I mean mainly is with these tournaments that are in Acapulco and Los Cabos, here in Guadalajara, Monterrey. When do you expect the players to catch up with the tournament success, if you know what I mean?
Of course, and we have discussed this many times with a lot of colleagues, because obviously you're talking about a golden era, and I was going to say exactly like that. It is a golden era in terms of tournaments, in terms of organization, in terms of what could come next for Mexican tennis in that way. If we talk about golden era in players, that was a long ago.
To be sure.
So we expect. I had that kind of talk with a colleague a couple of months ago, and he was desperate to see like new talent and new players and someone breaking into the top 100 in both circuits, in the ATP and the WTA. I think it's a matter of time for us to develop better players. I will say maybe, I hope it's sooner, but I think maybe 10, 15 years until people really start to grab what tennis means, because I think the tournaments still have like something to do in terms of promotion, especially here in Guadalajara. The city should have been crazy about the tournament.
Yes.
And there are still some people that they don't even know the tournament is occurring. So I think that's one of the challenges in terms of organization, in terms of players. I think it's a matter of time. I'm sure it's a matter of time, maybe 10, 15 years.
I think it's confusing to the general public.
Maybe,
because let's just take Guadalajara, for example, as you mentioned. They've got, they know it's women's tennis, and they know it's professional tennis, and it's big, or even if it's a 250. So people in Guadalajara know there's this tennis that tends to be in the late fall and then the early or the late winter. So they kind of know there's a little bit of a pro tennis season, incredible complex. It makes me think when I heard you giving me the answer about maybe it'll be 10, 15 years, I think you're not unlike Canada. And here's why I say that. I used to go to the Rogers Cup, and that was what it was called then in Montreal and Toronto. And at those days, they didn't have any top players. Then Raonic came, and then Shapovalov, and then Andreescu, Layla, Felix.
Yeah.
Could that be? I mean, it's optimistic, but it wouldn't shock me. It's North America. Am I crazy? I mean, I know I am. I would say you're talking about really player development.
Yes, but you're talking about elite players.
Correct.
I think we'll still have to have, I would say, a couple of players break into the top hundreds first, to have at least 2 players in the ATP breaking into the top 100. Hopefully, these 2 players that are coming closer, Fernanda Contreras, Renata Sarasua, who are getting close to the 150, to the 100. Hopefully, they can make it all the way through the top 100. And maybe after that, maybe we can start developing players at a younger age with better process. I don't know. We're talking about elite players with Raonic, with Shapovalov, with Felix, with Bianca. They're elite players. We're talking about top 10 level.
We're talking about Grand Slam finalist and a Grand Slam champion in the case of Bianca Andreescu.
Exactly.
So, that's the bar is very high, but it only takes 1 or 2. Yes. And the neat thing is, we're going to mainly focus on the women players since we're here, because there are some we saw at Cabo, the first Mexican player since I think it was 2010 to win a main to win a main draw match at the ATP level. So let's focus on the women. The 2 players you mentioned, I forgot the pronunciation of both.
Renata Sarasua and Fernanda Contreras.
Yeah. Could you, our viewers, this is in English, maybe talk a little about both for those of us, including myself. I don't know a lot about them either.
Yes, I know. Well, the last, I would say, good player in women's tennis, is just only women's tennis.
Sure.
That we had, and maybe one of the best ones was Angélica Gabaldón. She was a good player. She was a decent player, I will say. She beat Jana Novotná at Wimbledon.
Beating Novotná at Wimbledon?
Yes.
A former champ?
Yes.
That's a huge win.
Yeah. Let me correct myself. I don't think. I don't think.
No.
I don't think if she did it. I think she did it at the Australian Open.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
She did it at the Australian Open. Angélica Gabaldón. Obviously, that was a huge win for the country.
Massive.
That was a huge win for her. That's what everybody remembers when we talk about Angélica Gabaldón. After her, we haven't had another good player in that way. So Renata Sarasua was the first one since Angélica Gabaldón to win a match at a main draw at a Grand Slam.
Okay.
She did so at the Roland Garros 2020, 2 years ago.
All right.
And then she had maybe the bad luck to face Elina Svitolina in the second round.
Bad luck? Horrible luck.
Exactly. That match was held at the Philippe Chatrier. It was a great experience for her. She even baggled Elina Svitolina the second set. She won it 6-0.
Wow.
And then she lost in 3 sets.
Yeah.
After what Renata Sarasua did, we were hoping that maybe she could make it into the top 100. she hasn't yet. But then this year, Fernanda Contreras was, I think, the first player, talking about men and women's, in a lot of years to play 3 consecutive main draws in Grand Slam. And then she did it, becoming all the way to through the qualies. So we're talking about Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and US Open this year, this 2022.
Wow. 3 that may be something that hasn't happened on the women's tour for a player to qualify for 3 majors consecutively.
Yes.
I mean, that
all the way through the qualies.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I think she unfortunately didn't make it to the second week, but getting qualifying in a win or 2 in main draw is huge for the ranking, the pocketbook, and moreover the confidence.
No, and it is also important for us as a country because do you remember when you see the draw and then you go all the way through the flags? Then we got to see at least the Mexican flag once in the women's tennis. So that's a cool thing. Honestly, that's a cool thing.
Very cool.
Even for me as a journalist to see the Mexican flag in the main draw, that's awesome. So we're hoping to see at least 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 in the future, maybe 1 flag in the second week. But we know it's a process, and we know it's going to take a while.
But I think, you say a process and taking a while, listening to you explain to myself and to the viewers the journey they've been on. We have a doubles player that's in this draw that is qualified for the WTA.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
So perhaps you could enlighten our viewers to how she was able to qualify. And I think it's only 4 teams or maybe 8 teams. I don't remember that qualified for the women's.
8 teams.
Okay.
8 teams.
And is it Almas?
Yes, Juliana Olmos. Juliana Olmos. I almost kind of feel bad because I didn't mention her, but we're talking about singles.
But in this case, we'll make an exception for the doubles because she qualified for the year-end championship. We're in Mexico. She's in the draw here.
Yes.
It works.
Well, and actually, like a note to what we're talking about, the doubles has always been better for Mexican players than in singles. In doubles, we've had way better results than we've had in singles. And Juliana Olmos is not the exception. He hasn't had a good career, at least in singles. But she's done an amazing pair of years. These last 2 years, Juliana Olmos. Last year, I think she was playing with Desiree Krosic. I think that she was her doubles partner. I think she finished, or they finished at like 11 in the year-end rankings. For some reason, a couple couldn't make it into the WTA finals, and then 2 other people got injured, something like that. So she made it to the WTA finals
as an alternate
last year. No, not as an alternate, because the other couples couldn't play.
Okay.
So they went up to the 8th seed, let's say that way.
Wow.
So and this year was even better for them because then now she's playing with Ariela Dabrowski, a Canadian player. Good chemistry between them, and then now at least this season she was also qualified, I think, like a month ago or something like that. So way better season than when she had the last year.
And she's been in demand here. One thing, Rodrigo, that I noticed when I arrived here on Sunday was that for one of the first media days, she had a lot of requests.
Of course.
And that's wonderful. That's great news. I look forward to hopefully having a chance to speak with her this week. If not in the future, I may try to make it back here, hopefully for the event in the 250 event.
Yes.
But taking it back again to this event, let's end this podcast with a prediction from you, and I'll give you mine. But I'm going to put you in the hot seat again.
Okay.
Could you give us a prediction on who you think will win the tournament?
Okay.
I'll make it easier. Who do you think is going to make it to the final, or who do you think is going to win? Whatever you think you're more comfortable
in the singles.
Yeah.
Singles.
We're back to singles, folks.
I'm gonna go all the way with Coco Gauff to win the tournament.
Wow.
Yes.
I didn't see that coming, even though it's very now that you say it, she had a good result in San Diego last week. She's number 8 in the world, I believe. She's qualified for the year-end championships, which will be in Dallas in a couple of weeks. I don't know why that shocks me. It shouldn't. She's not the number 1 seed. Okay, Coco Gauff winning the tournament. Do you have a final? Because I don't expect you to memorize the draw, but do you have a feeling maybe who she'll play in the final?
I don't really know. I know Pegula, I think it's in the same.
She's in her section
side of the draw.
Yeah, she's
so
in her.
I would say that because Pegula was my other choice
Right.
once I knew which players were attending the event. So Pegula was my second choice. I will say that if they clash at some point, that's gonna be like a
Semifinal, probably, right?
some sort of final,
Yeah.
meaning that the one she wins that match are gonna win the whole tournament. In the other section, I don't have it fresh, but I don't really see a player as solid as both of them. I will pick either Coco Gauff or Jessica Pegula.
I love what you're saying. In other words, I felt the same way about the French Open. I felt the final
Okay.
was essentially Djokovic and
Exactly,
Nadal.
in the middle of the week.
Right.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in the quarterfinals where
Yes.
they met at Roland Garros, which should have been a final, but because Novak wasn't allowed to play in Australia, the rankings. So I get what you mean. The Pegula Gauff match really is the final, but it can't be as they're on the same half of the draw. So I like it. That's an all-American. Well, the American pick is Coco Gauff. I'm going to throw something wild out there. It's not Canadian. It's not American. Not South American. Not Central. Not Mexican. I'm going with Bencic.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
tell you why.
I like it.
I do too. I really like it. Because last night she had a wild match.
Wild match against
I didn't
Leylah
win.
Fernandez.
Yeah,
Yes.
against Leylah Fernandez. That was insane.
It was cool.
Very cool. When you get a cool first round match like that, it really shouldn't be a first round match, but we're at a WTA 1000.
Yes.
So it tends to happen. I have this feeling about Bencic because I was watching her today practice with her coach, Tursunov.
Tursunov.
That must be somewhat of a new partnership, or maybe I don't know their history. But when I saw them practicing today behind us, and not more than a few hours ago, I thought, she got out of a tricky match where she had some match points that she could have won it in two. She didn't.
Yes.
She could have lost the first set. It was a wild match. It was fun. It was interesting. Was the tennis great? At times, yes. But due to the weather, it was funky. So I'm going to go with Bencic's Gauff final. I'm kind of hijacking your final pick.
Okay,
But
that's perfect.
I don't have the guts to pick a winner. No, I do. You know more about tennis than I do, and I found that
I
out.
don't think so.
He does. We played Tennis Jeopardy yesterday, and I lost.
That was a cool experiment.
Yeah,
it was
well,
not
it's
allowed
for you.
like Jeopardy, but it was cool.
For him, it was. For me, it hurt. I mean, I'm twice his age. He schooled me, folks.
I know, right?
I am twice your age. On that note, hey, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Brad.
Yeah,
for
I've
sure.
really
for sure,
enjoyed it.
For sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to stop, but I have a feeling that, it's how do you say cerveza? Does that mean Coca-Cola or is beer time?
Beer is the same as cerveza here in Spanish.
I haven't had one. Should we have a beer after this?
I'm in. If
So-
you're in, I'm in.
So it's beer time. Folks, that's it for tonight. Thank you again for tuning in to the Wild West Tennis Podcast, brought to you by QualityShot Tennis. Remember to subscribe, like, click, you can give money, you can comment, or you could listen to it on your favorite podcast type radio stations, even though it's not radio. You get the gist of it. Adios, muchachas and muchachitos.